Right, here we go. Let's see how we can get this done. Right. Right, here we go. Okay. Let's make this happen. Let's get Corey. Right. Where's Corey at? Jesus. Oh. Right. Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live. We've been waiting for this for a while. Haven't been live in a while. Just waiting for Corey to join. Hi, Miles, Nathan, Hubert. Nice to see you guys. Just trying to make sure Corey's online. Give us a second. Try and get Corey on here. Corey, I'm ready for you. It's been a while since I did this, so forgive the. Let's try and get this up and running. Corey, if you're there, I'm live, and just waiting for you to come on board. Right, okay, I'm gonna have to hit Corey up. Corey, I've got to send a message here. Right, Corey actually called me while we're in the middle of this. Right, okay, here. Hi, Maz. Hi, Hubert, Nathan. So we're just trying to get the logistics of this set up. It's been a minute. It's been a while since I did this, so just trying to get this thing set up. Oh yeah, here we go. Corey is over here. So I'll get Corey. Here we go.
Hey,
Hey, hello.
how are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Sorry, I'm good. I'm good. I can hear you perfectly. Sorry, I was trying to connect to my iPad, but I haven't logged into it for a while. So, because I thought, so someone might call us while we're on this, but we'll just go with the flow. So
It'll
if,
add to it if anything.
yeah, if a fuzzy picture comes on, just hang on,
Okay,
and we'll
well,
kind of stay with it. So, how are you?
I'm good thanks. I'm really good. How are you?
I'm cool. I'm cool. You seem to be in like dim light. You seem to be kind of like
Yeah, it's mood lighting in my flat. It's just never
it's all
very
good.
bright in here.
It's all
But
good. It's all good. How's your week been so far?
yeah, really good, thank you. Nice and busy, but definitely looking forward to the weekend.
Yeah, yeah, me too. At least the weather's getting better this weekend.
Yeah, nice.
Compared to like towards the end of last week or last week and early this week. Whew, it was a whole different ball game.
Yeah, it's the type of weather where you don't want to go outside when it's that cold.
I was like, I actually had a look at flights and I was trying to look at how I can escape the country, but it's illegal to leave the country. So, I was not just ready to break the law. But yeah, so pretty excited about this. I haven't done this for a while. I think the last time I did a live was 2018 or 19. It's been
Oh wow.
about 3 years, about 2 years since I last did a live. So
Oh,
yeah.
well, I'm honored to be live with you today. It's a great hotel with
No,
no live.
the pleasure's all mine, honestly. Obviously, you're the queen of interviews, so
Oh,
yeah.
very
So of course, let's get this going. So yeah, so I think we'll just try and keep this like 20 to 25 minutes,
yeah.
and we'll just go straight into it. Obviously, I'll try and save it, and then hopefully whoever has missed out will catch up on it. Do you wanna give people a couple of minutes to join, or should we just roll with it?
Should we jump in?
Yeah,
I've
let's just go with it. Let's just roll with it.
okay. I've got questions for you, and then I've also got questions for you from my Instagram stories earlier. So
Amazing. Let's do
there's
it.
lots, there's lots that people want to know. Okay, so
Cool.
well, first I would say props to you for actually having written a book and published a
Thank you.
book because it's a thing that a lot of people say they want to do and a lot of people have on their bucket list, but
Hmm.
few people would actually commit to doing it and take the time to writing it. So to
Thank
kick
you.
off, tell us a little bit about the book and where the idea for it came from.
Right, okay, so just a quick intro. My name is Simon Tafula Joseph. I live in London. So a quick background about the book. Essentially, between 2018 and 2019, I started doing affirmations, positive affirmations. So for those that do not know what positive affirmations are, essentially these are positive words of encouragement and motivation that you say to yourself, right? They say that who is the person you speak to the most? The person you speak to the most is yourself, right? So it's the stories you tell yourself, it's the things that you say to yourself that kind of get you, that kind of get you going before. So between 2018 and 2019, I started doing these, these kind of positive affirmations by myself. Prior to that, I'd been going through a really difficult time. Just things were a bit rubbish in my life, job, career, personal life, things were just kind of all up in the air. And, just to try and get myself through, life in general, I would just look at myself in the mirror and just be like, rah, rah, rah. Simon, you can do this, you can survive this. And then, what I then started to do was I started to sort of put those positive affirmations onto my Instagram. So you guys must have heard of the game Simon Says. So I started using the hashtag Simon T Says on Instagram, and I basically started 1 week every Monday morning. I started putting out these messages on Instagram, and of course, part of the reason was that I realized in doing these affirmations that there was a huge challenge around mental health. And obviously, right now we've been in the lockdown, so everyone knows what mental health was. But 2018, people don't really understand what the challenge was. And I remember reading a stat that there's around 6,000 suicides in the UK, and about 2/3 of those are men. So lots of men, young men in particular, taking their lives. And there was a problem because there's plenty of men that are going through challenges in their personal and emotional lives, and they simply do not have an outlet to speak about what they're going through. Trying to get men to talk about their feelings is like trying to get blood out of a stone. It's incredibly difficult, right? So my thing was, how do you get men to talk about stuff? What I realized when I opened up and I was really very transparent about what I was going through, other men opened up. So I thought, let me begin to put, these messages of motivation, inspiration, and encouragement onto my Instagram. And I started doing that once a week, and I started doing that mainly on Mondays. I read a couple of studies at the time that were saying that the majority of suicides normally happen on Monday mornings, and like Sunday night, but mainly Monday mornings. Apparently right now, Tuesdays are the new Mondays. So yeah, anyway, I started doing Monday motivation videos, and they were called Simon Says. It was 1 minute of motivation, inspiration, and encouragement. And if you go into my timeline, you can see like lots of videos from 2018 to mid 2019, just high energy, high power videos, kind of just helping people get those messages through. So at the end of 52 weeks, so at the end of a whole year, I basically had all these messages, and basically I had all these videos, and I was sick and tired of hearing my own voice. And I thought, I've had enough. But then somebody said to me, you should write a book. You should compile all these messages and put them together in some sort of text. And I thought, what, why not? Because I've already got I've got the manuscript already. And so I had this 52 messages of motivation, inspiration, and encouragement that I'd done over a whole year. But then I felt like, a 52-page book would be really, really small. So what I then did was I reached out to close friends and family, and I asked them to provide a message of motivation, inspiration, and encouragement. So the idea was, to make the book more holistic. I would get other people that are around me, because if you think about it, really, like, you don't get encouragement just from yourself. You get encouragement and motivation and inspiration from those around you, friends and family. So the whole idea is, let me get another 25. So I got another 25 messages and added them to the 52 I had. So that became 77 messages. And then I thought about, you must have heard of Rupi Kaur. So Rupi Kaur is like an Insta poet. She's really famous. And, she basically does, in all our books, she always uses really simple, minimalistic illustrations. So I thought, why not create an illustration for each and every single one of these 77 messages? And that's essentially what I did. Well, me and a really good friend of mine, Willem, he's an artist, so we came up with the concepts, and so we had 77 illustrations, 77 messages, so that then made the book 154 pages. But I still felt like there was something missing, right? And so we're now looking at, so I started putting the book together in June 2019. So by around November 2019, we'd had all the illustrations done, but I still felt like there was something missing. And that's when I realized that actually, you know what, when you read a motivational quote, right, or a message of motivation, inspiration, and encouragement, you know, it should, obviously it should inspire you, but most importantly, it should get you to take action, right? It should get you to act. And that's when I realized, you know what, I should include activities and exercises within the book so that, you know, somebody can read a message, but they then have a course of action. They then have something that, you know, a call to action that then prompts them to do something. So I'll give an example. The flagship message in the book is, you must have heard of that saying, everything happens for a reason, right? I really used to hate that because when I was going through a really tough time personally, that never really made any sense to me. So my take on that is everything doesn't happen for a reason, but it happens for a lesson. If you think about all the experiences that you've been through in your life, whether they've been your fault or not, it's the most important thing to do is learn something from them. And it's those lessons that then give you the competitive edge. And then that helps you get farther in life. So, you know, like they say, nothing teaches you more in life than, you know, a heartbreak or empty stomach or empty pockets. So it's the hard lessons anyway. So anyway, everything doesn't happen for a reason. Everything happens for a lesson. So what I would then, so I had that on one page, and then on top of having that on one page, the next 7 pages, so I'll just quickly show you this, right? So that's the message in my book. Yeah, and then you then have an illustration on the next page that then kind of like, you know, complements the message. And then you then have 7 blank pages of the book, or 7 blank pages, when I say 7 blank pages, 7 activities, you can see. So for this first message, I then have an exercise for every single day of the week, which essentially is all about, you know, think about an experience you've been through in your life. What have you learned from that experience, whether it's been good or bad? And, you know, how can that help you moving forward? And at the bottom of the book, you can see I've got like a QR code that you can scan and will take you to the video I did for that week. You know, the Simon Says video I did for that week. So, oh, by the way, I did the QR codes way before coronavirus, and I was a bit worried that people might not understand how to use them, but thankfully, you know, everyone knows how to use them. So yeah, so essentially 52 messages is your daily motivational book journal for self-care. It's got messages of motivation, inspiration, and encouragement. And the idea came from these videos I did that were my personal affirmations I used to put out on a weekly basis. That's how I came up with the story of the book, to answer the question.
And I love how organically that happened. Like, you're compiling things that you'd already spoken about online and that you're obviously very passionate about. So for people wondering what topic should my book be about if they want to self-publish something, what advice would you give? You know, how can they find something that they would have that much to say about?
Absolutely. I think the first thing you have to think about before you start to write a book is obviously what are you passionate about, right? Because this is a long slog, right? It took me about 2 years almost to get this thing done. So from the point I started making videos to the point I actually I got the book published. So the thing you've got to ask yourself, what am I passionate about? What can I write about, you know, passionately without having any hassle really? And the other thing as well is if you've got any sort of domain expertise, you know, I mean, somebody like you, for example, you know, you understand social media, you understand communities, you know, you understand, you know, startup businesses, you know, and so there is like a hybrid of topics in there that you can write about that you've passionately been through in your experience. So I'd encourage someone to think about what their passions are, to think about how, you know, what sort of domain expertise have they got, and perhaps if there's any sort of piece of research they're doing in their lives, you know, what kind of information have they got that they can sort of bring into the fold to sort of put together some sort of transcript that can kind of help them move forward. So I'd say, yeah, passion, domain expertise, skills and experience, basically. That's a really good starting point.
So someone asked me via Instagram stories whether you found the writing process quite cathartic. Did you write to clear your mind of something, which I thought was really interesting. To what extent do you feel like people write books to, for themselves as something they would want to read? And to what extent should you focus, have your audience in mind and focus your book on the community that you're writing for?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, writing is therapeutic in nature anyway. So for me, in my own personal experience when I was doing this, it was all about getting my thoughts on paper, because I was just trying to get myself through the hard times in my life. So these were positive affirmations, and I was putting something down for myself that I could use. So that really helped me. And I think the other thing is, for me, in terms of the process, I think it really kind of became a bit of a slog when I came to the editing process. So the editing process then took me a bit longer, because as a writer, you really, it's like you're almost like an artist. Your work is almost really never done, because you can write something, go away for a couple of days, come back, read it again, and then you have a different take on it. And the thing about positive messages of motivation and inspiration and encouragement is that there's so many angles to them. There are so many bits that there's so many kind of ways you can view a message. So for me, it kind of, in the beginning, the writing process was really simple, because before I did all my 52 videos of Simon Says, I always used to have a simple manuscript written. But it was when I was kind of polishing up all those messages that it kind of took me a bit longer to sort of kind of really polish them up. So I'd say, I think the key thing is just get started. If you want to write something, just decide that you're going to write something, and then basically begin to put together something. Let's say you want to write a book, right? Just commit to writing maybe a couple of paragraphs a week, or 3-4 lines a day, regardless of how you feel. And eventually it will all come together. It will all begin to add up, and hopefully you can kind of gain some momentum from that. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
Did you at the offset put a timeline in place? I want to have this many chapters done by this date and be finished with the whole thing by the end of the year, for example?
Yes, of course I did, but the truth of the matter is it went over, because the thing is, because the thing is, as a writer, honestly, a point comes when you're like, what, this is it. I've had enough. Like, let's just get this thing published, because otherwise it's never going to be ready. It's that whole thing of, we spoke about this once, the whole thing of perfectionism, and that whole thing of like, because you're putting a book out there into the world. You want to make sure that it's everything is on point, basically. So because once you do it, that's it. It's really, you can't really change it. Well, if it's self-published, you can, but that requires a lot of effort. So yeah, so there was a point where I went on and on and on, and I was just like, what? This is it. I've had enough. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to put it out there. So, so I think you just have to you can set deadlines for yourself, but the truth of the matter is, until you're really happy with your work, just put it out there.
What gave you that final push to feel like this might not be perfect, but it's done, and it's perfect in your eyes, and you're ready for it to go out and be read by other people?
Two things. Number one, I had pre-orders. So people were like, where is the book, my friend? We've paid the money. Where is the book? Right? That was the first thing. The second thing was, I felt like, because, as an artist or as a creator or as a creative, there's something we all really have to think about. You must have heard of Tim Ferriss, right? Tim Ferriss is obviously one of my favorite podcasters. He said something once that really made me think. He said that artistic death is creativity by consent. Think about that. Artistic death is creativity by consent. Essentially, what he was saying was that, what kills artists is them trying to create while consulting other people for, and trying to get permission from other people to get them to approve what they're doing. As an artist, in fact, as a person in general, right? Not everybody is going to love your work, right? However much you try, in life in general, right? You can never please everybody, right? You have to just learn to please yourself, because regardless of what you do or don't do, regardless of what you say or don't say, there are always people that are going to love your work. There are always going to be people that hate your work, right? So there comes a point where you have to say to yourself, right, am I happy with this? Do I like what I'm doing? It all starts with you as the creator, basically. So I think it got to the point where I stopped stressing about how people would see this and what they would think about this. I just thought to myself, you know what, at the end of the day, I'm happy with this. I've created something. I'm content with this. Let me just put it out there. So for me personally, it was, number one, to answer your question, I had pre-orders. People had paid money. Some people, a few kind people had paid money. And the other thing is, I had to get to grips with myself and be like, you know what, I'm never gonna please anybody. Christians that believe in Jesus Christ believe he's the most righteous person that ever lived. But still, people find a reason to kill him because, for one reason or the other. But he's still regarded as one of the most perfect people. So I thought, what the hell? I'm just gonna put my thing out there and flow with it. So yeah.
I wonder to what extent people don't publish books that they're really, passionate about writing because of laziness, procrastination, things that people typically blame, or if actually it comes down to the fact that they're worried that once they put it out there, people will read it and judge them for it.
Absolutely. I mean, look, we're human beings, right? And human beings, we're social animals. So, everything revolves around our communities and what our families and friends are going to think and say about us. And that fear of what other people think about you is real. It's really, really real. Like, it's real. And, so I guess like they say, right, you've got to push yourself out of your comfort zone and, push yourself out there and do something different, because otherwise there's no room for growth there,
Yeah, that's why the best things happen outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So let's dive into then the actual logistics and specifics of getting a book self-published. So cool. How did you go about that? What is that process?
Right. Okay. So for me, I think I'll give a couple of tips. The first and foremost is you have to do some research, right? I'll use a very simple description of marketing. Like, when people think of the word marketing, I think a lot of people do not really understand what marketing is. And a lot of people think, marketing is, it's advertising and promotion. But actually, the true definition of marketing is anticipating customer needs and then creating a product or service that fulfills those needs. So what people do not really understand is the fundamental nature of marketing is really all about research and development. It's all about trying to figure out, what do people want? In fact, what do people need? And how can I create that? Now, you can actually apply that process to the process of creating a book. So one of the things that I decided to do when I was doing this book is I actually went and did quite a bit of research, because this book is within the category of personal development, self-growth and personal growth and, motivation, inspiration. That is a huge category in the book world right now. And it's always been, personal development, personal growth. It's a huge category. So I looked at that. I went on to Amazon. There's some really cool tools actually. There is I'll send some of these tools if anyone wants to know, but there's some research. You can use Google, first of all. You can use Google and just search what are the best-selling books, like what books on the bestsellers list in terms of nonfiction. You can then look at niche categories like personal growth and self-development. You can sort of look what's happening. You can go into Amazon. Amazon has some really cool tools that, again, you can use to kind of have a look and see what sort of books are trending, what sort of books are selling, what titles do these books have, right? And what colors are they? What is really trending? Like, for example, 6 or 7 years ago, adult coloring books were a huge thing. Like, they were selling like crazy. So lots of really clever entrepreneurs were jumping onto Amazon, quickly creating adult coloring books, because they're really good. They're very therapeutic, really good for mental health and well-being. And they were creating that. So first thing you've got to do some research, right? Once you've done your research, then begin to put some sort of script together. Write something, like begin to write about something, right? Then once you've obviously, in the process of writing, there are two schools of thoughts. There are some people that say you need to create a book cover before you've completed the book so that you can actually begin marketing and promoting the book. You've got to remember, again, going back to marketing, you've got to remember that, you know, it takes between 8 to 12 times for somebody to see something before they buy it, you know, for someone to purchase something. So you've really got to begin promoting and pushing the book way before you publish it. So this is why you see lots of authors will create a mock-up cover and then put that out there, and then begin to sort of encourage people to just let people know that, hey, I'm writing this book. And then, so yeah, the first thing you've got to do is obviously do some research, and then you can actually obviously you begin to write, but then create a cover while you're writing. So, and going back to the cover, you know, in life, people say you should never judge a book by its cover. But in the publishing world, people actually judge your book by the cover. Yeah. So you've got to really be on point with that. But don't put too much pressure on yourself in the beginning, because of course it's a process, right? So create a mock-up cover, put that out there. And so, you know, I did that, and then obviously walk through the process of writing. If English is not your native language, if you don't have a fancy English degree like Corey does, you can get an editor. Plenty of freelance editors that are really, really good, really affordable prices that can help you kind of step outside of yourself. You know, like they say, you can never really see the picture if you're in the frame. Sometimes you've got to step out of the frame, and you know. So I'd encourage you to sort of get an editor. You know, get editors from 50 quid to 1,000 quid to help you kind of read your manuscript and polish it up. I got an editor, and he was really, really good. I mean, he helped me, but to be honest, the majority of the work he did was pretty much on the same level as what I'd already done. But I think I just needed that extra seal and stamp of approval, right? So yeah, so anyway, yeah, so get an editor as well to help you through that process. So once you've done writing the manuscript, it's edited, you've got a cover. Like I said, you've got to be hammering the promotion. You've got to be out there pushing and promoting this thing. So what I'd encourage you to do as well is obviously, you know, to look at the publishing platforms. So there are two ways to publish a book, right? The first is getting a publishing deal. So getting a publishing deal is sort of like getting a record deal in the music industry. You know, you reach out to lots of publishing houses, the big ones, you know, the Palgrave Macmillans, Penguin Random House, HarperCollins, you know, the big publishing houses. There are lots of literary, I think they call them literary agents that you can reach out to that, again, just like the music industry, there are lots of people that, you know, there are lots of people that facilitate this process, you know. But that is a really long process, and there are so many gatekeepers along the way. So this is why I always encourage people to seriously consider the self-publishing process, because the self-publishing process is pretty straightforward, really. So with the self-publishing process, all you've got to do, if you've got your manuscript and you've got a cover, there are 3 or 4 platforms you can jump on and literally upload your manuscript, and it can be then listed and, you know, printed on demand based on the orders that you get. So I think what I'll do is I'll talk through maybe the top 3 self-publishing platforms. So the first one obviously is Amazon. You know, Amazon is the home of books, and what people need to understand is obviously Amazon also owns Audible, so the the audiobook version as well, and also they have obviously the Kindle book version. So with Amazon, you've got the whole 360 experience there. So if you have then, you've written your manuscript and published it and sort of got your cover design, what you can do is you can go into Amazon. They've got this thing called KDP, which stands for Kindle Direct Publishing. You set up an account, it's really easy, and then you literally upload your manuscript onto there. So they give you 2 options. You can upload and create an ebook version of that, which obviously would then go out as a Kindle version. And then you can also use that same manuscript to then create a paperback version. So the Kindle version is really, really simple to create and to format as well. You might need to get a graphic designer to help you format it, But the truth of the matter is it's really simple. It's something you can do yourself. So once you've uploaded your Kindle version, let's start off with the Kindle version on Amazon. What will happen is that you get 70% of the royalties. Well, that's what they say. If you price your book between $2.99 and $9.99, you get 70% of that. The reality of the matter is that you probably get about 60% because there's sort of like a listing and handling and processing fee on top of what Amazon take. So, but the thing is, that takes, that's a recurring revenue. And on top of that, it's the first payment you'll get will take 90 days. So Amazon takes 90 days before they pay you. So for example, if you list your book on January the 1st, it won't be until the 1st of April that they'll pay you. So essentially what they'll do is until when 3 months come to an end, they'll tally up everything, and it'll take them like a week for them to then pay you what comes. So you have to think about that. Paperback version is really simple. What they do as well is that Amazon have got publishing companies that they've got partnerships with all across the world. So essentially what they do is when you upload your book on there, your manuscript, if somebody orders the book in Germany, they've got companies in Germany that will print the book on demand and then push it out, and then basically get that printed. So again, the challenge with, so the pros of Amazon, number one, global distribution. You're instantly global as soon as you upload your manuscript on there. Number three, you have warm leads. So you already have people that are looking for books. And Amazon is such a powerful engine because people that buy similar books can be recommended to your books as well. Amazon also have an advertising network on their platform. So essentially, Amazon have this thing where they, you can advertise, you can buy it, just like, Insta or Facebook advertising. So you can buy advertising to push your book because they have a huge network that they can push and promote your book for you onto. So, so that then again allows your book to get that extra mileage. And then, like I said, they've got the ebook, the Kindle versions, they've got the Audible versions, and again, you can use the 360 marketing process there. Amazon also have something called Amazon Authors, where you can kind of create a profile and list your, and then kind of create a profile about yourself, and then put that out there as well, so that people get to sort of know who you are and kind of, can link to you and connect to you as well. But then the cons, so the issues with Amazon, though, as I said, it takes 90 days for you to get your money to come through. So if you're willing to wait, that's not a problem. So that first paycheck is obviously what takes a while. But then, especially, like I said, if you are you can put your book on pre-sale, actually. Amazon allows you to put your book on pre-order, right? So you can actually get orders coming through before you actually finish publishing the book, or before you actually officially launch the book. And you see this quite with a lot of people that do this. So it gives you that, but then it will take you 90 days for that money to come through. The other problem about Amazon as well is that they do not publish hardback copies. So, the harder versions, they don't do that just yet. They only focus on Kindle books and paperbacks. So if your book, like mine is a daily touch, because it's a journal pretty much. It's a journal, motivational, daily kind of usage book, and it's the sort of book that has to be used every single day. So they wouldn't do that. Now, because of that, one of the challenge, a way around that is there's a couple of other companies that you can use that offer self-publishing, that you can upload your manuscript onto that, and what they will then do, they will feed your book they will list your book onto Amazon, but they do publish hardback copies. So there's a platform called Lulu, for example, that does that. And again, you can upload your manuscript on there, and it will work out the price per book that they will charge, and then the profit that you get, and then those guys pay you directly as well. And a platform like Lulu has plenty of they've got plenty of other publishers that they're plugged into, and other bookshops all around the world. So yeah, so Amazon is great, and Lulu is great, and I think those are the platforms that really encourage you guys to do. But of course, the other thing as well is you shouldn't forget to do your own personal marketing and pushing. Obviously, we're talking about events, we're talking about this sort of live broadcasts. So, I set up a personal website, so 52messages.com, the book is listed on there. I did a mini documentary series over a period of about 18 months, documenting the process of how I did the book. So I think you have to do the marketing hand in hand with the process as well. So you've got to really think about that. So yeah, that is essentially the logistics of it. I don't know if I've missed out anything, but I'll look at my notes if you can remind me if there's anything else.
No, that sounds good. My question to that is, so the Amazon take initially 90 days for the first paycheck. After that, it's still every 90 days, or after that, does it become monthly?
Yeah, it becomes monthly because we're assuming that you're getting people buying your book every month.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it then begins to come in monthly because, like, the gap lessens. Yeah, so that's what's happened.
Okay, so let's chat costs then, because someone on my Instagram stories asked about what are the finances involved in this. So they were saying, what are the costs firstly to self-publish a book, and then how much should they expect to get back as a return?
Get back. Yeah, I mean, again, obviously, okay, we'll talk about cost. I think maybe let's talk about why should you publish a book? What are the reasons why you should publish a book? First and foremost, publishing a book is incredible for your personal brand. So for you as an individual, if you would like to enhance your career, if you'd like to enhance your, lots of people that are speakers or coaches or entrepreneurs of some sort, it really gives you a lot of credibility if you've published a book. I mean, whenever you watch the news, whoever is, like, the people they normally interview on the news to give some sort of opinion about any sort of subject tend to be authors. They tend to have written a book, or they tend to have some sort of domain expertise in a field. And the way you prove that you've got domain expertise in a field is you've written some sort of book, right? So yeah, writing a book is great for your career. Like, if you apply for jobs and you say, hey, I've actually written a book on, like, it helps you. The other thing as well is that, writing a book, it's an incredible piece of work for legacy that will last forever. It will live forever. It really, really helps you kind of, get your work out there into the world and, really have a positive impact in the world. So I'd say that. Now, coming onto the issue of costs. So if you're creating a book to kind of help further your career and improve your personal brand, don't expect to make too much money. However, on the other side, if you think about the money aspect of this, oops, it looks like my battery is beginning to get a bit low. Let me just get my charger. Sorry, I'm just plug my charger into it, but I'll carry on talking. I didn't realize live really takes up battery life like this. Right. Anyway, so I was saying, so in terms of cost, number one, you've got to get a book cover design, right? Like, you need a book cover, whether you like it or not. You need a book cover. So you're going to have to pay a graphic designer to design one for you. Again, that depends on what your budget is, and you can get, graphic designers and book designers from all sorts of, sorry, I'm just gonna plug this thing in while I speak to you. Oh, there we go. We got it done. Okay, great, fantastic. Yeah, so basically, so you need a graphic designer. Oops, am I there? Yeah, so you need a graphic designer. A graphic designer will cost anything between 50 to 500 quid to 1,000 quid. Like, I actually designed, I co-designed my cover with my graphic designer, the artist that did the book with me. So I was actually about to post something today about how it started and how it's going, and the little piece of paper on which I kind of like, drew the book cover. And then, so yeah, so I co-designed mine, and we had an arrangement. We had worked out something where, compensating for the whole, for the entire work that included the cover as well. So yeah, let's assume a good graphic designer for a cover will probably be anywhere between 100 to 250. Let's say 200 quid, right? Then you need an editor. A really good editor, will be anything between 500 quid to maybe 1,500 quid, right? So 500 quid is the lower end. So let's bring it in the middle. Let's say maybe about 700 quid. So you're already 900 quid down. And then the printing process. So as a self-publisher, there are two things you can do. You can print the book in huge quantities, store it in your garage or in your house, and when people buy, send it out. Or you can do print on demand. So Amazon does print on demand. Lulu does print on demand. What that means is that somebody orders the book, and then they print, package, post it out, and send it out. Then you just get your profit. So I think on average, you're probably looking at about 1,000 quid to get a book done. Now, my book had artwork in there, and that is something that you've got to consider as well, because just doing original, authentic pieces of artwork is also quite expensive as well. But like I said, I already had my arrangement. So I think graphic designer, you need obviously an editor. Oh, the other thing I was going to say, yeah, so the graphic designer has to also help you with the layout of the inside of the book. So that is a cost you also have to incur. So on lots of freelancing platforms, for about a couple of hundred quid, you'll get someone to help you with the structuring and kind of like the formatting of the book, so that it's publishing ready. So it's printer ready, so that you can send it out in a format that printer companies can sort of print out. So yeah, so maybe I say between 1,000 to 1,500 for you to do that. Now, people that get publishing deals, right, like the record label people, they will normally get an advance. So normally they'll pay you, depending on who you are, how famous you are, they'll give you, 5,000, 10,000, a million, but then they will obviously try and make that money back. So they will give you a huge advance and maybe kind of like split the royalties with you. So yeah, and then obviously they'll do all the work. They'll design, they'll do everything. So yeah, so basically the average cost is about 1,000 to 1,500 for a self-publishing author.
Okay, and I like what you were saying about the returns not necessarily even just being the money that you get back from people buying the book, but actually how that enhances your career and the other opportunities that gives you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was at an event that Daniel Priestley ran a couple of years ago, and he's a big marketer and entrepreneur, and he's written so many books, Keep Up Some Influence, oversubscribed, and he was saying that actually whenever he writes the book, he kind of expects people to not read it, or he thinks a small cohort of people will read it, but most people will just see that he's written 5 books, and they'll trust that he knows what he's talking about. And actually he was talking about a specific piece of consultancy work he booked from a big bank that was trying to hire someone to come in and motivate their team. They Googled the topic they wanted someone to talk about, and his name came up, so they got in touch with him. And the day that he was there to run the consulting, which he was charging like $7,000 for, he said, "Oh, how did you come across me?" And she said, "Oh, well, we saw your book." And he said, "Oh, did you enjoy reading it?" She said, No, I haven't read it. I just thought you must know about what you're talking about because you've written it." So it pays back dividends beyond people just actually paying for the book.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So
last question from me then before we wrap up would be, looking back on the process of self-publishing the book and writing it, what's something that you would have done differently? What are your learnings now that you've gone through it?
Very good question. I think the process of writing this book obviously changed me as a person, right? When I started, what I was thinking and the ideas I had, kind of evolved during the course of me writing this book. And I evolved as a person as well. So I think the first and most important thing I learned was to become comfortable being authentic and just being true to yourself. Again, going back to what I spoke about earlier, like artistic death is creativity by consent, as Tim Ferriss says. So you have to be happy with what you're doing. You have to be content and satisfied with what you're doing, because not everybody is going to love your work, right? Not everybody is going to feel what you're doing. So as long as you feel it, as long as you're happy with it, put your work out there and don't think about it too much. And I think at one point I kind of, I was caught up in this whole paralysis by analysis. I was over-analyzing every single detail of every single bit of the book. And I was like, what, this is a bit, and that took up a lot of my time. So I think, now that I'm doing this whole process again, news flash, I'm writing the second book already. Yeah, I think that, sorry, I'm just going, yeah, so I think this time it's going to be a lot quicker because I know that I'm comfortable with who I am. I'm comfortable with what I'm putting out. And I don't really need anyone's permission to give me permission to do what I need to do. It's just my opinion. If somebody likes it, that's great. If they don't like it, they don't have to buy or interact with the book. So yeah, so that essentially is one thing I learned is just learn to be comfortable being yourself by yourself. As long as you're happy with your content, put it out there, publish it, just make it happen, and just go along with it. And the other thing as well is that I think, again, I could have done a bit more marketing. I mean, I've done quite a bit, but my book was published during, obviously, the pandemic. And, I'm obviously a huge mental health advocate. And of course, Black Lives Matter happened as well during the pandemic. So in a way, I kind of felt like I kind of held back in promoting and pushing the book. I was not as aggressive because I didn't want people to feel like I was taking advantage of the pandemic and Black Lives Matter to sell a book, And I was lucky in the sense that my book has kind of been organic in the sense that lots of people have seen it, recommended it, and like around Christmas time, for example, lots of people were buying it as a present for friends and family. When Black what was it called, the Black Market promotion Saturday thing came along, I had lots of people promoting it for me that weren't necessarily buying it, but then other people were buying it off that promotion. So, I think could have done more marketing, obviously, especially considering the fact that I launched the book during the lockdown when, I wasn't able to do lots of the events I'd planned were cancelled. So I kind of had to adapt. So I should have done a lot more of this, like online stuff, a lot more. And I was thinking about it yesterday. I was like, my goodness, I actually haven't come out and said, hey guys, like I've launched the book. This is what the book is about. I've just done it digitally, but I haven't really spoken about it. So I think I'm going to sort of begin to put out a lot more content around that. Yes, I could have marketed the book a lot more. I could have held, the whole paralysis by analysis. I could have, I could have just gone for it basically. And I think the other thing as well is that now that I understand the logistics, maybe I should have spoken to, and I did. Shout out to my friend Nathan. Is like this guy churns out books every 3 months. He's a musician, he's an author, and he writes children's books. And and this guy churns out a book like every 6 months. And like, he was the guy I was calling, and he was putting me in my places. Like, what are you doing? Get this thing out there. Get this thing going. And so it's always good to have more friends that are similar in terms of interest, so I could have surrounded. I think I only had one author that was really pushing me, and that was Nate. So shout out to Nate. Really grateful. And that's it really.
So more marketing, accountability, not caring what people think about you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it really. That's it. Okay, so Corey, I've got a question for you. When is your book coming out? Putting you on the spot.
Put me on blast, yeah. I'm gonna write it this year. And I don't know, maybe next year, maybe we'll see. I will credit you 100% for all your amazing tips and how to publish it.
Yeah. Look, Corey, thank you so much for this. I really, really appreciate your time. I know you're busy. You've got things to do, people to see, places to go. So I really appreciate this. If anyone has any questions about...
Right now.
Sorry?
Not so many places to go right now during lockdown. I wish.
Well, you might have so many places to go on Zoom, although on Zoom and it's live.
Through Zoom, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, but if anyone has any questions about how to publish a book, what you need to do, who you need to see, feel free to reach out, drop me a message in my inbox, and I'll figure out how to connect with you, and I can, give you some tips and hints for free,
Amazing.
Cool.
And where can people get access to the book as well? Take the time to
yes, of course. Yeah. So you can get access to the book on 52messages.com. So that's 52messages.com. That is the main platform on which I sell the book. I've got the ebook version on Kindle, but I mean, this is really a book journal, like a daily touch kind of, motivational journal that you need to have in your life. So I think, you're really better off buying the book directly. So 52messages.com is the best place to find the book because it'll come from me directly. I'll post it to you with a little gift in there, wrap it up nicely, and you can have it in a couple of days if you're in the UK. We're obviously having logistical issues with the EU right now, but I can still get it out there. So 52 Messages is the best place to get it. And obviously you can check out simontefula.com and find out more about me, and reach out to me at any time. So
Amazing. Thank you so much for your tips. When you save your profile, I will be saving that to come back to for when I publish mine.
Absolutely, absolutely. Sure. And of course, you can always reach out to me as well to ask any questions. And I'm really excited about you and your book. And hopefully it will be me interviewing you in a year or
Yeah,
two. Who knows,
I will
And
hold you to that. We'll do that. Yeah, this time
yeah,
next year.
we've got to do this. We've got to do this. It'll be me interviewing you then, and then we can get that. I always like to remind people I have a podcast called The Simon Tafola Show, and it was Corey. I attended a workshop that Corey put on called How to Start Your Own Podcast. And she gave me the confidence and the knowledge and the skills to make this thing happen. And yeah, so she's a woman of many talents. So reach out to her. Social media queen, podcast queen, interview queen, the whole shebang. So
Thank you. Yeah, it's come full circle. Now I'm interviewing you about your book.
I know, right? But thank you so much. Right, I'll let you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll save this and I'll get this to you soon as well.
Amazing. Thank you
Cool.
for having me. Enjoy your evening, everyone. Take care.
All right, cool. Take care. Bye. Right. Let's see.